Hi. So, I want to talk a little bit more about my hopes for this channel. Story to Culture isn't just about the film or the TV show or the book, if I ever get to that. It's also about the people. It's about the people watching, you and I. It's about the characters on screen. And it's about the people who are behind the scenes, the actors, the writers, the crew, directors, producers. It's about all of us and how this story can be a reflection of all of our lives. This is Beyond the Story. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to talk about your film, Lleyton. I know I saw it as there was a showcase last year in November, Bless the Telephone, which was where I saw it for the first time. But is that the first time you ever publicly showed it?
Well, it's supposedly the third time. It had gotten
Okay.
into two festivals before that. The first one was called Toronto Liftoff Film Festival. I don't know if you've heard of
Okay.
it, but I really don't know if it was screened or not. It seemed like more of an online festival. And then they also screened at Toronto International and Hollywood Film Festival
Oh, nice.
twice. But the first time was just three people there, and the two of them were from the life coach. So like, because it was going to be a
Oh,
back-to-back, it was going to be Leighton and the life coach.
oh yeah.
And then the second time it screened, there were a couple people there, maybe like three or four. But that was the first time I've watched it in like a packed, like
Okay.
packed screening with like, I'd say maybe 50 people, 100 people. So
Yeah. How did
it's
you
really,
feel like seeing the reaction to it with all those people there?
I was happy, honestly, because when you submit your film to film festivals and it doesn't really get in, you kind of like think like, oh, did I do something wrong? But like the fact that we're in a room full of people our age and it seemed like people enjoyed it, like the places that I thought people would laugh, like when I wrote it, I was like, okay, people are gonna laugh here. And people were
Mm-hmm.
actually laughing. And then there were places that I didn't think were gonna laugh and they laughed as well. So really it was really gratifying and really
Yeah.
made me feel like, yeah, even though not many people have watched this film, like I did the right thing making it.
Yeah, it's really good. I wasn't because I didn't know you wrote, so when I saw it, I was like, oh, it's actually a good film. Like it's not
Yeah.
just like you just put it together. Yeah, it was really good. It was really funny. But in
Yeah.
your own words, can you tell us, I guess, what Leighton is about?
So Lleyton is about an encounter between a couple and an unhoused fellow in Toronto. It's based on a true life story of myself and my friend Shanaz, who we were basically leaving a birthday party and we ran into a homeless guy who was close to taking his own life. Oh, he was crying and saying he was going to take his own life. And so we decided to stop and talk to him, and it just ended up being a very interesting conversation. So when it was done, I was like, "Yo, this was crazy, right?" And she's like, "Yeah," and I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna write a film about it," and I
Okay.
did. Yeah, so it actually happened in 2021, but I wrote the film and shot it in 2023.
And like, what specifically about that encounter made you want to make a film about it?
As you saw, I made the film like funny because it was I think the guy trying to uh unalive himself was not funny, but the
Hmm.
conversation we had with him was funny. And you could tell that he was a funny guy in real life, even though he was going through what he was going through in that moment. So I was like, you know what, I want to make a film and I want to show that no matter what someone is going through, like there's still a human being underneath.
Yeah. Before we get into the themes of the movie, I want to talk about production a little bit. I've been thinking personally just about like being creative in this time, in this city, in this economy, and just now. And I know that personally, I've been finding it hard to be creative. I feel like my mind is very much like there's worries in there. But I wanted to ask you, how do you continue to stay creative or keep creating even with all the things life does?
And I feel you completely. There's worries about life. There's worries about, am I doing the right thing? There's worries about like, oh, what's my future gonna look like, et cetera, et cetera. Like, how am I gonna have a family as a man, as a creative? You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like, who's gonna provide? Like, am I gonna be able to provide for? There's all these thoughts, but you know, I think in the younger generation, especially, like, there's never there's like this constant creation loop that's going on. Everyone's a creator now. Everyone's an influencer. Everyone is able to just make a video. And if you take out the grandness of creating and just think about it as one little thing that you can do or one little video you can make, then you'd be willing to, take those little steps, those creative steps in the right direction. And all you need is a couple of thousands of creative steps and you have
Mm.
a masterpiece. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like all these things don't just come just like that. Like even with Lleyton, when I first was writing it, it was very difficult because I was only looking at the dark side of it, which is Lleyton was gonna unalive himself. And my last short film was touching on suicide as well. So I didn't
Mm.
want like back to back, like I'm making sad short films about people trying to off themselves. So I thought about it, and then I dropped it. I was like, this is too sad. And then one day I was like, you know what? It was actually it was kind of a ridiculous conversation we're having after like we got him to talk to us. Like, why don't I make it funny? And then when I decided to make it funny, the script started like coming, like the dialogue and everything started coming to me, like even more, quicker. And
Mm.
honestly, it happened in one day. Like I was in bed in my friend's place, and was pretty, I don't know, I was down that day, and the grand deadline was like that day. I didn't even know. So I just Googled. I was like, what grants are available? And then I saw Toronto Arts Council. When is it due? Today. I was like, what do I have? Oh, I remember that script I was working on.
Mhm.
And then I just quickly spent like 6 hours. Obviously, it was a short film. So just wrote like 10, 12 pages, uh, and then applied for the grant immediately. And luckily for me, I got the grant and I was able to make that film. And I'd have never made the film if that day maybe I wasn't sad enough to, say, what can I do? So it's
Yeah.
just things might not come about right away. Like you might not create immediately, you get the idea, but like as long as it's in there and you're alive and kicking, then there's a chance that it's gonna get made.
Like what I said about, I think maybe sometimes we think of the big picture, like, oh, I need to get this big film done, and then it gets overwhelming. But the tiny steps, like, what can I do today, or just to move it forward a little bit,
Yeah.
actually builds up to that.
Yeah.
That's good. So you wrote this film, and it's directed by Adrian Wallace. I've, oh, first of all, I guess, how did Adrian get involved in the film?
So Adrian and I, we met at a party in 2018, and we always joked around that, oh, bro, we're gonna work together, we're gonna work together. And so he had a script called Stuck that he reached out to me about because he wanted me to just read it, give him feedback, etc. And so I was like, you know what? I have a script as well called Lleyton. Can you give it a read? Let me see what you think. And then he liked it. And then I remembered watching one of his short films called No James Harden at Real World Film Festival, I think 2020 or 2021. And I really liked it. So I was like, you know what? I like No James Harden. It was funny. I want this. This is a serious film, but I want it to be funny as well. So why don't you come direct it? I knew I wanted to play myself in the film, and I really don't see myself as a director. I see myself more as a storyteller, writer, and an actor and a
Mhm.
producer. So I was like, Adrian, just direct it for me. And it's kind of an interesting dance because when you apply for the grants, they want you to be a director to apply for
Oh,
most of them. But for Toronto Arts Council, luckily, it just wanted you to be a creator. I think, I hope they don't come back in like next year and be like, oh, return the 10 grand we gave you 4 years ago. But yeah, luckily for me, it was fine. We applied, we got the grant, and I was able to get Adrian to direct.
nice. And then I'm kind of curious about this too, because like you write it and then you're starring in it, and Adrian is kind of like, I guess, the middle, directing you. How much negotiation of power, I don't know if that's the right word, but like of power do you have to like do, or how much control do you have to give up to the director, even though it's your story, but at the same time you're like the vessel almost of the character, playing the character. What's that dance like, and how do you do it?
I mean, it was an interesting time, especially because I was also producing it as well. So while stressing about my lines, well, I was playing myself. So the lines,
Mhm.
honestly, I didn't even learn the lines because I wrote it. But like stressing about like the permits, there were cops there, and I was more stressing around logistically making it happen.
Mm.
So it was very easy to let Adrian take all the directive. power on set. It was a difficult shoot. We shot from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. 2 nights because it
Oh,
was
wow.
overnight. So really, I was just trying to get it done. And so it was easy to let Adrian do his directing. Difficult part could have been in post. But luckily for us, Adrian and I were very aligned and we kind of tag teamed the entire time. A lot of time he had notes that we put in. There were a lot of time that I would have notes and he would agree as well. We put in as well. So there wasn't really any uh, back and forth, really, or power struggle around making it because we were really aligned on getting the film made.
Yeah. And I feel like you can see that if you watch the film. If like the script is funny, but then also visually, like some of the I guess what beats, like you can see the beats visually as well that make it funny and make it what it is. So it does feel like a synergy there with like the words and then the directing and the way it looks.
100%. There's so many things that like he brought up that I would have never thought of, like there were some lines like the end, like us going under the tarp at the end, or the scream where the scream freeze phrase when Lleyton first sees my character, or even the zoom in after the first beats and the voice in his head. Like there's a lot of humor that he really has
Mm.
that was able to really come on the screen, and it really complemented the words that I wrote. And I'm really glad that I got Adrian to direct the film.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, I'm gonna go into the theme now. So Leighton is a comedy, but I feel like the theme of it, or like a bigger theme of it, is just humanity. And there are two people in this who are marginalized by society. Actually, I think three of you would be like marginalized by society if people saw you. But specifically your character and Leighton's character, they're people who will be marginalized, and then people who also have some kind of prejudice against each other. And they have to be in this moment where they share humanity and have to like see each other. Leighton isn't used to someone stopping to speak to him, but then also he wouldn't necessarily reach out to your character because it's a black man and he's not used to that. So big question, but what do you think, or why do you think we don't take those opportunities to stop and to reach out to people, to have those conversations, maybe with unhoused people or people who are in different groups that we're not a part of that we don't understand? What keeps us from that, do you think?
I think in general, as human beings, we never like to leave our comfort zones. We always think, oh, like why do I have to do this? I know another person can do this, or oh, like what's the best that can happen? Or I don't want to take another person's issues. But I think that's where the third character, Rana, or in real life, Shanaz, comes in, right? Because when I look back at what actually happened in person, I really wanted to leave. I did not want to talk to this homeless guy that was screaming for his life. But Shanaz really said, hey, let's go back. We even left, just like the film. We left. We got in the car. We're like, we're out of here. But
Mm.
Shanaz did not want to leave. She said we needed to go back. And so that's why there needs to always be, that's why everyone really needs to have a good heart, an open mind, and really care about other people. Like there's a lot of empathy that doesn't get shown because we've kind of gotten so used to like bad news or bad things happening. But really, when they're empathetic people and people are there to give us a push, then
Mm.
beautiful things like the conversation we had with Leighton happen because we're all humans. We all have our own story to tell, and if we never empathize or feel or look at ourselves in another person's shoes, we'll never be able to think like them or even have a conversation with them. So. Yeah, it's always good to have someone there to give you the push to do things, especially to
Mm.
do good things too. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely helpful. I was thinking about this question and I was like, I know times where I've seen myself not doing those things is I have this like self-protective instinct where I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna get in trouble or if I'm gonna be harmed in some way. And so I'm like, let me just stay away and like
Yeah.
keep to myself. And like I do think there's wisdom in knowing like not to put yourself in an unsafe situation. But I also think about like how many moments have I missed or how many times of connection have I let go because I've been trying to protect myself so much. And yeah, I think what you're saying is right. The empathy thing is kind of like getting yourself out of that and being willing almost to like put yourself on the line for somebody else in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like that in life, right? You need to have an open hand to be able to receive, right? And the same thing with empathy. You need to have an open heart to be able to receive. So I feel like I received a lot from Lleyton on that day, and if not for having someone by my side who was open-hearted, that wouldn't have happened. So it's like improv, right? I don't know if you know with improv, yes and. So you need to
Yeah.
kind of live life with a yes and attitude because if you say no, you're just shutting yourself down. You're just keeping yourself in the same place that you are already at. But with the yes, it could be yes and bad or yes and good. But if you don't
Hmm.
say yes and, you'll never be able to make a change of state. So yeah, I
Yeah,
try to
that's
live
good.
life with a yes and.
Yeah. That's such a good mindset, just generally.
Yeah.
How do you, I guess, get yourself to that point or overcome that initial fear? Because I feel like you could say it, but then to actually do it, it's like, what's the thing in your brain that you're like, flip the switch, I'm gonna take the risk?
Hmm. I just think that none of this really matters in the long term. Like if I talk to this person, if I don't talk to this person, like I'm not even gonna remember this in 50 years' time, if
Mhm.
that makes sense. Like not a now that I've talked to Lleyton and had this conversation, I always remember that night. But if we just drove away, then will I remember where I was on August 5th, 2021? Like the only reason I know that day was because it was my close friend's birthday. But if I didn't know that it was his birthday, like August 5th, 2021 would have just been another random day for me. So I just think, if I don't do this, I'm not even gonna remember. If I go and talk to this guy and he tells me to fuck off, I'm not even gonna remember in 50, in 20, in 10 years time, in 5 years time. I don't
Mhm.
remember what told me to fuck off in 2019. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's just the way I think about it. In the grand scheme of things, none of this matters. So why not just step out of the comfort zone?
Mm. Are there any other things you want to talk about in relation to the film? It could be production or thematic or just getting it made, getting it seen. Anything that
Yeah.
stands out.
Well, I think production wise, I feel like everyone should really make a film, not
Everyone?
because everyone, because it's basically a project management engagement if you think about it, right? It's just a big project where people are not making money, a lot of money, and we're all doing things we're passionate about. And I feel like if anyone can get a chance to be on a film set, they should take it and just see what it's about because honestly, putting everything together is always a fun experience. And I want to keep making films. I hope I'm blessed enough to be able to make money making films. And I hope people are just able to, just do things. Maybe not even make films, just do things. If they want to do
Mm,
something, just think about it as a big project, because we all have projects at work, so just think about it as a big project, put together the implementation plan and get it done. And as a filmmaker, there's nothing too unachievable. As long as there's a will and you're surrounded by like-minded people who are willing to put in the work, maybe for free, maybe for honorariums, maybe hopefully pay them real money, but
mhm.
anything is possible. And shout out to Toronto Arts Council for funding Lleyton. Without
Yes.
them and my parents, because I ran out of money, I ran out of grant money, and my parents helped me with a bit of a bridge. So I appreciate that. So
Okay,
yeah.
so I do have a random other question for you. I was thinking about this actually because I was like, being this is such a cliche now, I think, but like being African and Nigerian and being like a creative as well, and actually putting your money, or I guess your parents' money, also into making this film. What was the process like? I guess like getting them there, your parents specifically, have they always been kind of supportive from the jump, or was there a time where you had to kind of convince them of what you were doing?
Well, my parents have always known that I've loved the stage. I remember when I was growing up in Nigeria, I did a play do you know Alliance Française?
Oh yeah.
I did it. So I was in Alliance Française growing up, and I did an entire play in French when I was 7 years old, and I
Mm.
didn't even speak French. So my parents have always known I've loved the stage and acting, but I just never knew that it was a career path. And I did stage in secondary school. I did plays. I would say stage, but I did plays in university. And when I started working, I was able to, my parents saw me like balancing my job that gives me my living, like makes my living versus the film, TV commercials, like the grind of the actor's life. And I think them seeing me really want it and
Mm.
not cut corners and actually like put myself out there and balance it. I think that's what made them really like say, you know what, Kosa, we're gonna support you in the best way we can, right? Maybe if I just said, "Oh, I want to be an actor," and then I quit, and then I was like, quit my job, like my living job,
Mm.
and I was just, trying to figure things out on the go. I think maybe they wouldn't have been supported, maybe they would have been worried. But I think them seeing how much I care about it, I started acting. Like I did my first audition July 2017, so like it's been almost 9 years now.
Mm.
And them just seeing me on this journey, I feel like that makes them more empathetic towards me, and that's what makes them even support me more. Uh, and also seeing progress, I guess, like seeing the feature films I've done, seeing the short films I've done, and seeing that I'm actually trying to tell stories that matter. It makes them want to support more as well. So I'm just grateful that I have parents and just people in general that believe in me. My parents, my friends, they've all really always believed in me. I remember back in 2018 when I was taking acting classes for the first time. I had a really good friend who she used to watch my videos and she'd say, "Oh, you're so good. You're so good. You're so good." And I watch those videos now and I'm like, I was so bad. I don't know why she was saying that, but it just people that believe in you like that really put sails in your wind and push you to keep going. So yeah, I'm really appreciative of having people around me that are supportive.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, where can people watch Lleyton if they're interested?
Well, it's on the internet, and I'll just say it's link in my bio, linktree.com/Kosa. And Lleyton is the second film.
Okay.
So
Can I
it's
also
it
put a
all
link in this
you
video in the
can.
description?
You
Okay.
can. Like honestly, I want people to watch it. I wish more people could watch it. And yeah, I'm not really submitting it to festivals anymore. I did submit it to Toronto Outdoor Picture Show.
Okay.
Let's see if they take it. But if they don't, no problem. People can watch it online.
And what else do you have going on? Where can people find you? Where can people support you if they want to?
They can find me on Instagram, Kosa Akaraiwe. Difficult name to spell, but that's where you can find me. And I have links of all my work in my bio and also on linktree.com/Kosa. So if they can just watch, give me feedback, tell me what they think, that's how they can support me because everyone that creates art just wants to be seen. So I would appreciate being seen.
Cool. Thank you. That's all my questions. Thank you for your time today.
Of course. Thank you so much for interviewing
No
me
worries.
and
Thank
making me
you.
feel seen.
Thank you.